We'll call our meeting to order. First item is the invocation by Pastor Don Tijima, Mountain Valley Church of God.
Join me, please. Our Father who resides in the heavens above, we regard your name as holy. We revere you. And I thank you, Lord, that this council takes this time at the beginning of their meeting to acknowledge your name, to acknowledge your power, to acknowledge your rule and your reign. As they have agenda that they have to go through tonight, we pray for Bill Colby to not be long-winded, but we also pray for great wisdom for this council, that they would help to lead this wonderful town with your wisdom, with your grace, with your mercy. Bless them mightily and their families as well. We ask this in your most revered name. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor. Next item is Pledge of Allegiance that will be led by Vice Mayor Anderson.
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much.
Okay, we go on to roll call. Diane?
Mayor Skoog,
Present.
Vice Mayor Anderson,
Here.
Councilmember Grossman,
I'm here.
Councilmember Mallory, here, Councilmember Marshall,
Here.
Councilmember Nye, here, Councilmember Whiting.
Here.
We have a quorum, Mayor.
Thank you, Diane. Okay, we have number 5, scheduled announcements and presentation. Tax Assistance Program, Pam Pearsall. Is she here? Okay, we'll table that one for now. Proclamation, Parks and Recreation Month. Diane, you got the proclamation?
Yes, I do, Mayor. Parks and Recreation Month, July 2016. Whereas parks and recreation programs are an integral part of communities throughout this country, including the town of Prescott Valley, and whereas our parks and recreation are vitally important to establishing and maintaining the quality of life in our communities, ensuring the health of all citizens, and contributing to the economic, environmental well-being of a community and region, and whereas parks and recreation programs build healthy, active communities that aid in the prevention of chronic disease, provide therapeutic recreation services for those who are mentally or physically disabled, and also improve the mental and emotional health of all citizens. And whereas parks and recreation programs increase our community's economic prosperity through increased property values, expansion of the local tax base, increased tourism, the attraction and retention of businesses, and crime reduction. And whereas parks and natural recreation areas improve water quality, protect groundwater, prevent flooding, improve the quality of the air we breathe, provide vegetative buffers to development, and produce habitat for wildlife. And whereas our parks and natural recreation areas ensure the ecological beauty of our community and provide a place for our children and adults to connect with nature and recreate outdoors. And whereas the U.S. House of Representatives has designated July as Parks and Recreation Month, and the town of Prescott Valley recognizes the benefits derived from parks and recreation resources, now therefore I, Harvey C. Skoog, Mayor of Prescott Valley, do hereby proclaim and recognize the month of July as Parks and Recreation Month in the town of Prescott Valley, and call upon parks and recreation supporters to join us in recognizing the importance of our nation's parks and recreation facilities, and encourage all citizens to enjoy all the recreation activities available in their community.
Thank you, Diane. Vice Mayor, any comments?
Sure I do. I'd like to thank our Parks and Recreation Department and our Parks and Recreation Commission for the fine job that they do. Our parks certainly represent the best part of our town, and we're thankful that you do such a great job. We're very proud of our parks, so thank you for the hard work that you do, all of you.
Gentlemen, either one of you got a comment?
Well, I'll just add thank you for recognizing Parks and Recs for the month of July and the proclamation. And especially thank you to the council and management for providing resources to improve the parks over the last year. I've heard a lot of really great comments on all of the different improvements in the parks. It's kind of surprising when you get out to the public, everybody thinks this is great. So we hope we can continue that. Thank you.
27, I believe, Mr. Mayor. We have. Looking forward to the development of Bob Edwards Park down here on the corner. That'll be a great addition to the system. And like Ron said, I reiterate thanks for your support and the resources available to make it a great place to live, work, and play. I'm Pat Frere. I'm a commissioner on the Parks and Rec Commission. This is Mr. Ron Brinkman.
Ron Brinkman, Commissioner.
Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate that. Keep up the good work. Okay, the next item on the agenda is a certificate of appreciation to Suzanne Dusky. She's not here, I guess. Okay, we'll have to table that one for a little while, see if she comes. Now, if there's any comments or communications from the council.
I got one.
Marty?
I've probably mentioned this before, but I'm going to continue mentioning it, at least until the event happens. We're having an event called Hope Still Floats. It's a fundraising dinner. There's going to be a silent auction and a live auction. They're giving away a magnificent ring. And what this is going to go to fund is our Prevent Child Abuse program through the Yavapai Family Advocacy Center. For those of you that are not aware of it, I mean, it's right here in Prescott Valley over on Bob Drive. And it's the only place in Yavapai County that is able to do the intake on a rape kit. Even the hospitals do not perform rape kit intake. So this is a very important building and charity to fund. It's going to be it's a $50 a plate dinner. They're looking for sponsors. That starts at $250. If anybody has a business and you have or a service and you would like to donate a silent auction item or a live auction item, that would be greatly appreciated. If you're not sure who to contact, just contact me through our phone number. Mine just went blank.
759-3100.
Yeah, 759-3100, and they'll connect you to me. Again, it's August 20th. It's from 6 to 10 p.m. It's being held at the Prescott Club in Stone Ridge. It's the that's the clubhouse for the golf course. It's in the restaurant there. So I look forward to seeing a lot of you there. Thank you.
Thank you, Marty. Any other comments? Okay, if there is no other comments, move on to number 9, the consent agenda. All matters listed on the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the town council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion on these items. If discussion is desired, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately. It includes the approval of the June 9th, 2016 council meeting minutes, approving of the mayor's absence in accordance with the town code section 2-2050, and that's for vacation time. Approving, C is approving the proposed regularly scheduled town council meeting dates for the fiscal year 2016 and 17. Approving resolution number 1969, adopting the revised Arizona State Library Archives and Public Records Retention and Disposition schedule for risk management. E is approving a public utility easement to Arizona Public Service on a portion of the Tank Farm property, parcel number APN 103-07-621, as required for the development of Granville Unit 7D. F is approving a budget transfer from Police CIS operating budget to the Police CIS capital line item. Another one for the police. G, approving approving the VOCA, that's Victims of Crime Act, grant agreement or renewals with the Department of Public Safety to accept the grant renewal. And H is department reports. I is approving the financial reports. J is approving the investment report. K is approving the accounts payable. And we do have 2 grants. We always take those. Anyone want to pull an item, or do you want to approve it as a whole?
Mayor, I'll make a motion.
Okay, we're ready.
Motion to approve all items listed on the consent agenda by voice vote.
I'll second that, Mayor.
We have the motion and a second. Would you do the roll call, Diane?
Mayor Skoog,
Yeah, approved, yes.
Vice Mayor Anderson,
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman,
Yes.
Councilmember Mallory,
Yes.
Councilmember Marshall,
Yes.
Councilmember Nye,
Yes.
Councilmember Nye, yes. Councilmember Whiting.
Yes.
That's unanimous, Mayor.
Thank you, Diane. We'll move on to number 10A, consideration of reappointing Danny Avalos to the Parks and Recreation Commission. Vice Mayor, do you have any comments?
Sure, I'd be glad to. On June 30th, 2016, Danny Avalos' term on the Parks and Recreation Commission will come due for renewal. He submitted the renewal application letter choosing to be reappointed. Danny Avalos was first appointed to an existing partial term on this commission on July 12th, 2012, and this reappointment will be his 3rd consecutive term. Myself, Council members Mary Mallory and Laura Lee Nye are recommending the reappointment of Danny Avalos for a term with a renewal date of June 30th, 2019.
Danny isn't here, is he? No. Okay, any comments, motions, demotions, commotions, anyone?
Mayor, I'll make a motion to appoint Danny Avalos to the Parks and Recreation Commission.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second the motion, Mr. Mayor.
We get the motion in a second. We set the vote, Diane?
Councilmember Whiting,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Anderson,
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman,
Yes.
Councilmember Nye,
You bet.
Councilmember Marshall,
Yes.
Councilmember Mallory,
Yes.
and Mayor Skoog.
Yes.
That's unanimous, Mayor.
Yes, thank you, Diane. We move on to B, consideration of appointing Pat Freyer to the Parks and Recreation Commission. Now, this is going to be a challenge. Come on up, Pat. Vice Mayor, any comments?
Sure I do. On June 30th, 2016, Pat Freyer's term on the Parks and Recreation Commission will come due for renewal. He submitted the renewal application letter choosing to be reappointed. Pat was first appointed to an existing partial term on the commission on August 22nd, 2013, and this reappointment will be his 2nd consecutive term. Myself, Council members Mary Mallory and Laura Lee Nye are recommending the reappointment of Pat Freyer for a term with a renewal date of June 30th, 2019. Welcome, Pat.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I should ask if either Councilmember Mallory or Mai have any comments.
I do. I remember your interview very well, Pat. And I just want to thank you for delivering.
Oh,
We
my pleasure.
appreciate you very much.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to serve, and it's been a pleasure the last 3 years to be on the commission and get some traction going and keep things moving forward.
We appreciate it. Councilmember Mallory, any comments?
I just thank you for doing this, what you've done in the past and going forward.
Any other comments or motions? You know, there's no motion. It's going to sound
I'll make a motion. Motion to reappoint Pat Fair to the Parks and Recreation Commission to a term with a renewal date of June 30th, 2019 by voice vote. And delightfully, yes.
I'll second that
We
motion.
have the motion in a second. Would you count the votes, Diane?
Councilmember Mallory,
Yes.
Councilmember Marshall,
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Anderson,
Yes.
Mayor Skoog,
Yes.
Councilmember Whiting?
Yes.
And if I understand correctly, Councilmember Nye was voting yes.
Hers was yes. So
That's unanimous, Mayor.
that's unanimous. You weren't expecting that, were you, Pat?
Oh, no. Not even one.
We sure appreciate your service. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you, Pat.
You didn't bring
Thank
your
you.
bicycle with you, sir.
Too hot. Okay, we're going to see consideration of reappointing Ron Brinkman to Parks and Recreation Commission. This is going to be another tough one.
Come on down, Ron.
Come on down, Ron.
Councilmember Nye is going to read this.
Okay.
On June 30th, 2016, Ron Brinkman's term on the Parks and Recreation Commission will come due for renewal. He did submit the renewal application letter choosing to be reappointed. Ron Brinkman was first appointed to an existing partial term on his commission on July 9th, 2009. And this reappointment will be his fourth consecutive term. Of course, the Vice Mayor, Rick Anderson, Mary Mallory, and myself are recommending this reappointment. And Ron, you know where even bodies are buried, don't you?
No, only Buzz Gummer knows where those are buried.
Oh, okay. Well, I humbly want to thank you for your service. It's been sincere. You're a very dedicated man, and you made a difference that will go down in all of our records regarding your service and the quality of your service. So the humblest of thank yous, Ron.
Vice Mayor or Mallory, any comments?
Yes, I do. 7 years is certainly a long time, and we certainly do appreciate everything you've done for us. You're at every event that you could possibly come to, and you do represent the town well. And you work so hard for the commission. You definitely set the bar high for everyone else, so thank you, Ron, for everything that you do.
Councilmember Mallory, any comments?
Dedication is just what you have to this board and to the Parks Department and to the community. And I enjoyed working with you on several projects that you've showed up with, and I look forward to many more in the future. Thank you, Ron.
Any comments in your defense, Ron?
Just that I've really enjoyed being on the commission, and thank you for considering my reappointment.
We sure appreciate your service. Anyone got a motion?
Yes, I'll make a motion, Mayor. Motion to reappoint Ron Brinkman to the Parks and Recreation Commission to a term with a renewal date of June 30th, 2019 by voice vote.
And I'd like to second that, Mayor.
Okay, we have a second. Motion and a second. Would you do the roll call, vote call, Diane?
Councilmember Grossman.
Yes.
Councilmember Mallory.
Yes.
Councilmember Marshall has
Yes.
already voted yes. Councilmember Nye
Yes.
and Councilmember Whiting
Yes.
has already voted yes. Vice Mayor Anderson
Yes.
and Mayor Skoog.
Yes.
That's unanimous, Mayor.
That was unanimous. Ron,
Thank
thank
you.
you so much. Appreciate that. Okay, we're going on to D, consideration of reappointing Joan Adamack to the Library Board of Trustees. Vice Mayor, any comments?
Sure. On June 30th, 2016, Joan Adamack's term on the Library Board of Trustees will come due for renewal. She submitted the renewal application letter choosing to be reappointed. Joan was first appointed to an existing partial term on this board on August 22nd, 2013, and this reappointment will be her second consecutive term. Myself, Council members Mary Mallory and Laura Lee Nye are recommending the reappointment of Joan Adamack for a term with a renewal date of June 30th, 2019.
Mary, any comment?
No, once again, I just appreciate all the people in the community. I don't know what we would do without them volunteering to do these boards, and it helps so much. So I appreciate all of them. Thank you.
Good, thank you. Laura, any comment?
Well, pretty much it's always said how much we appreciate them. But the volunteers are the backbone, the heart, and what makes this community so special. So with that, I'd be glad to make a motion. Motion to reappoint Joan Adamak to the Library Board of Trustees to a term with a renewal date of June 30th, 2019 by voice vote.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Who do you do the roll call vote, Diane?
Vice Mayor Anderson,
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman,
Yes.
Councilmember Mallory has already voted yes. Councilmember Marshall has already voted yes. Councilmember Nye
Yes.
and Councilmember Whiting has also voted yes. Mayor Skoog,
Yes.
that's unanimous, Mayor.
Unanimous. Thank you. We appreciate that. Okay, we go on to E, consideration of reappointing Larry Martin to the Library Board of Trustees. Mr. Martin, you want to come up?
Come on up, Larry.
Vice Mayor's Laura?
On June 30th, 2016, Larry Martin's term on the Library Board of Trustees will come due for renewal. He submitted the renewal application letter choosing to be reappointed. Larry Martin was first appointed to an existing partial term on the board on September 8th, 2011. And this reappointment will be his third consecutive term. Vice Mayor Rick Anderson, council members Mary Mallory and myself are recommending the reappointment of Larry Martin to a term with a renewal date of June 30th, 2019. What do you have to say about that, Larry?
2019 looks a little distant. It still looks like I renewed myself because of a number of reasons. One is that the library is just a very vital part of this community, and I wanted to continue to be part of it. Also, there are some exciting things coming up in libraries here and in other towns too. And I think that we have a great future looking on the library board. And the last thing, but just as important, is I feel I'm the only one on the board that can control Stuart. And when he gets out of line.
He's not here to defend himself. That's not fair, Larry.
That's why I said it. But thank you very much for considering me for renewal.
Vice Mayor, Mary, either one of you got a comment?
No, I just appreciate again, this is our fifth person up here tonight. It just shows how everybody loves to volunteer into the community, and that's what makes it such a great community. Thank you, Larry.
You're welcome.
Well, I'll certainly make a motion. Motion to reappoint Larry Martin to the Library Board of Trustees to a term with a renewal date of June 30th, 2019 by voice vote.
And I'm delighted to second that.
Or electronic.
We have the motion and a second. Would you call the
Mayor Skoog,
president? Yes.
Vice Mayor Anderson,
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman,
Yes.
Councilmember Mallory and Councilmember Marshall have already voted yes. Councilmember Nye
Yes.
and Councilmember Whiting has also voted yes. That's unanimous, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Larry, we appreciate that.
Thank you
so
very much.
And I appreciate your keeping Stuart in line. Okay, we'll move on to F. Consideration of reappointing Nina Kane to the Arts and Culture Commission. Vice Mayor?
Sure. On June 30th, 2016, Nina Kane's term on the Arts and Culture Commission will come due for renewal. She submitted the renewal application letter choosing to be reappointed. Nina was first appointed to an existing partial term on this commission on January 28th, 2016, and this reappointment will be her second consecutive term. Myself, Council members Mary Mallory and Laura Lee Nye are recommending the reappointment of Nina Kane for a term with a renewal date of June 30th, 2019.
And I don't see Nina here, so may I make a motion?
Okay, if you want, we're ready.
Motion to reappoint Nina Kane to the Arts and Culture Commission to a term with a renewal date of June 30th, 2019 by however means we're voting tonight.
Good.
I'll second the motion, Mr.
We
Mayor.
have the motion and a second. Would you do the roll call vote, Diane?
Vice Mayor Anderson,
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman,
Yes.
Councilmember Mallory,
Yes.
Councilmember Marshall,
Yes.
Councilmember Nye,
Yes.
Councilmember Whiting,
Yes.
Mayor Skoog.
Yes.
That's unanimous, Mayor.
Thank you. Okay, if somebody lets her know, we appreciate her too. Good job. Okay, next, G. Public hearing, proposed expenditure limitation and budget for fiscal year 2016 and 17. Larry, did you want to make some comments?
Yes, Mayor and Council, this is the last step in the process. Congratulations. This is a process started back in November, and you have had a couple of retreats. You've had a community open house. We have had hearings. We have had information, the draft budgets up on the website, and you have heard many presentations from individual department heads over what they intend to accomplish in the coming year based on your direction from the two retreats that we had, one in November and the other in January. So we have been working on the budget, like I said, since last November, and we really do appreciate all of the time that you have dedicated to this, and quite frankly, setting policy through the budget and very directly giving town staff direction on what you would like us to do in the coming year. We thank you for that, and it's been very direct and very unambiguous, and you have then heard your policy statements transferred into budget direction by the various departments. For that, we again thank you. In addition to that, it's important to thank Bill Copey and his very capable staff for assembling all of this. They have done an outstanding job, and for the last, Bill, how long has it been? 14 years that you've received kudos from the organization that looks into municipal budgets. And GFOA has sent us a plaque for the last 14 years commending us on the assemblage of the budget as well as the process contained in that. So with all of that, I know that you are very familiar with the budget. Bill has given you a handout on it, but this is all reiterating other documents that you have reviewed over the last 6 months. Bill is prepared to come in and do a budget presentation, the likes of which you've heard 3 or 4 times already. If you desire that, Bill is standing there very eager to come up and razzle and dazzle you with some of the same numbers that he's been presenting, but that's your call. If you would like that presentation, he's prepared to give it. If you have any individual questions for Bill, certainly he is available to answer
Bill,
those.
you have any comments or want to come up and answer questions? Anyone have any questions?
Mayor,
Yeah, Rick.
I think that it would be important to find out if there are any public questions, first of all, and from that we can determine how much depth Bill might need to go into based on any questions that come up.
Of course, that's good too. Anyone from the public here to comment or question?
Okay. No.
No more questions, no more comments. We've studied this thing and restudied it, discussed and cussed it.
And I do believe that you should be very proud of the fact that this has been a very transparent process from beginning to this evening, which is the end. And any questions that have come up from citizens, either at the public hearing or the open house or any of these events that we've had, have been answered very quickly. And very much to the point. So it is a very transparent process, and we're very proud of it, quite frankly.
Good. Are there any questions or comments? If not, then I would declare the public hearing closed. And we move on to number H, consideration of approving resolution number 1967, adopting a fiscal years 2016-17 final expenditure limitation and budget for the town of Prescott Valley. Once this is approved, we've got to live with it. Any more comments, questions, motions?
I'd be glad to make a motion. Motion to authorize the mayor in his absence the vice mayor to sign resolution number 1967, adopting the fiscal year 2016-17 final expenditure limitation and budget for the town of Prescott Valley by voice and electronic vote.
I'll second that.
We have the motion and a second. Would you call the vote, Diane?
Councilmember Grossman?
Yes.
Councilmember Mallory voted yes. Councilmember Marshall voted no. Councilmember Nye?
Yes.
Councilmember Whiting?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Anderson?
Yes.
And Mayor Skoog?
Yes.
Mayor, that vote comes down with 6-1, 1 nay.
6-1. Okay. Larry?
And Mr. Mayor, if we could, let's give Bill Copey and his team a round of applause. They've done an outstanding job. Again.
He did truly do a very good job. Okay, move on to number I, consideration of approving the schedule of May 17th election, creating a property tax to fund a transit system. Larry, you have any comments?
You bet. Mayor and Council, we had a work study last week where we discussed the possibility of Mayor and Council scheduling a vote on implementing a property tax to fund transit. As you will recall, over the years, there have been any number of people and or groups that have come before council insisting on the town implementing a transit system. So what we did after listening for over a decade to any number of people that would come before council, a call to the public going ahead and suggesting that we needed a transit system. And if you will also recall, our response to that was that we have been funding rides through NACOG using Federal Highway Administration or state shared revenues to go ahead and fund our voucher system. And we have been doing that very successfully, and it's been a very good program over the years, funding rides for those who are transportation impaired, either without vehicles or going to work or medical appointments, and that was all done through a process administered by NACOG. So to that end, meaning putting in place a transit system in the town of Prescott Valley, Norm Davis, Public Works Director, was able to secure funding from the Central Yavapai Metropolitan Planning Organization to do a feasibility study. That study had been completed. It put together a proposed system that could be implemented in the town of Prescott Valley. Now, one thing that we have repeatedly said for 2 decades is if we are to start a new service, i.e. transit, that it was going to require a new funding source. Okay, we were not in a position to cut the pie, our revenue pie, into any more pieces. We are using every one of the dollars available to provide things like public safety, roads, road maintenance, a legal department, things like that. And that pie is already cut very finely, and so we would need a new revenue stream. The study that was done for the town of Prescott Valley did go ahead and incorporate the implementation of a property tax to fund a new service, i.e. transit. So with that in mind, Mr. Davis and others worked together with the transit advocate groups, those very interested in seeing that implemented in the town of Prescott Valley. And it was indicated to them that they would need to demonstrate some level of interest in the community, aside from those that came up to call to the public, that they would need to pull together support in the form of signatures on a document, and go out and knock yourselves out and show us support. Bring that to council. They did that. They had presented last week about 500 signatures, although the group did indicate, or their spokesman indicated, that not all of those were Prescott Valley citizens that signed those petitions. What we heard last week as staff was that that we needed to bring back to you in a council meeting an action to either vote thumbs up to scheduling a vote in May of 2017, or not to do that. And so the item that you have before you this evening accomplishes just that, which is to either schedule a vote or not schedule a vote in May of 2017 to vote on creating a transit system and funding it through a property tax. So with that, Mr. Mayor, I believe that's the explanation. I'm available and eager to answer any questions you might have on the issue.
Council, have any questions?
I have a comment, Mayor. I have something I'd like to say before we go any further with this. Prior to the January 21st public hearing, I attended public meetings on October 20th and January 19th. At each of these meetings, I made it very clear that funding for this proposal would require a property tax to be implemented. As such, it would require a vote of the citizens of Prescott Valley through a special election to decide about taxing themselves to provide funding for this proposal. In January, the council did decide that the proponents of the transit system, and therefore the passage of a property tax to fund it, would have to seek petition signatures to have the question put on a special election ballot. The council agreed that if the proponents were able to garner a significant number of signatures, then we would consider voting to put the measure before the citizens in a special election. My assumption was, like that of every other petition, the proponents would be required to attempt to verify that those individuals signing the petitions were in fact registered voters in Prescott Valley. It was made clear to us at the meeting last week that there was no attempt made to verify that the people who signed the petitions lived in Prescott Valley or were registered voters. If these petitions were turned in for any other purpose, they would not be acceptable. Therefore, I feel that they should not be accepted by this council. I would recommend that we do not vote to put the issue up for special election, but instead recommend that the proponents be instructed on the legal and acceptable methods of collecting signatures, and that they be required to gather enough signatures for a proper initiative. I want to be very clear that I am making no judgment on whether we need a transit system, or if a property tax should be put in place to help fund a transit system. That decision must be left to the citizens of Prescott Valley.
Good. Any other comments? Laura? Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say that I do agree with the Vice Mayor, and that, you know, in this great country we have the opportunity to take the passions that we have and go out there and do the things that we can do, but there are legal and correct ways to do them. So, and that is the process that this particular situation needs to take.
Good. Laura?
Some of the comments have been alluded to, but at the meeting where those signatures were submitted, I was deeply saddened, deeply saddened. This is an important issue. It should be treated well with respect, following the guidelines that are well known. And I expected significant numbers of appropriate signatures authorizing us, number one, to spend money for an election, which is very costly. We did not get that response. I have supported transit every single year that I voted, even the worst budget years of the downturn of the economy. We have voted as high as $90,000 a year. When the economy hit us really hard, we had to lower it to $40,000. But I always felt good about spending that $40,000 because I knew exactly what was going to happen, and I knew there was accountability and that those rides would be provided to the people who needed it the most. I don't think we have adequate information to make any kind of a decision, and I'm upset and I'm saddened.
Marty?
I agree with what my fellow council members have already said. One aspect that was brought out at one of the meetings when the committee made their presentation to the council was that the property tax would be $30 per home. But there was no guarantee that it was going to be $30 for X number of years, or that the $30 was a set in stone number. So that $30 could very easily be $300. There's no set number because things like that change. Okay, coming from New York City, I know what a successful transit system looks like and operates. As much as I would like to see one in this town, I think at this time, with no guarantee, I mean, one of the things that we're proud of in this town is we don't have a property tax. And to initiate one now that's basically open-ended, I think it just would not suit our town at this time. We need a better and a more sustainable funding source than putting it on the backs of the people, most of which probably will not even be using it, which is one argument that I've heard from the public. So at this time, I can't support having this on the ballot next year. It would be too costly to the town to have the election, and I don't think the numbers that we were given are sustainable at that level. So I can't support it at this time.
Good. Mary?
I did.
Mike?
Yeah, I just want to reconfirm as well that we anticipate that the citizens or transit advocates would be coming to us with an initiative and appropriate signatures, because it is an important step in our community, and I think there are pros and cons, obviously, and we do need, I think, more information. We need education, and that's part of the initiative process. So once we all feel comfortable, we know what the question is and how we're going to make it work, then we're ready to do our job to support or not to support. And I think we're still waiting for that. So I think this is a good challenge to the transit advocates in our community to get that initiative going, get the signatures, and bring it back for our consideration. So I think we're all pretty much in agreement, I think, so far that we're waiting to see more action from the community to motivate us to put this on the ballot.
Steve?
I don't have any comments necessarily, but I'll make a motion if we're ready for that.
Mary, I think, has one more comment. Then we'll take a motion.
I did want to say, though, in regards to what SIMPO did do and that we were able to get this study done, that is a great tool, and it's current, and the data is there, for that, and you have up-to-date information. So I do appreciate the study. I appreciate the hard work that was put into it, and the opportunity, again, that we have as citizens, whoever is passionate for the transit, that you have a tool that you can go forward and do the process and see where it goes from there. Thank you.
This issue can be brought to the council again by getting ballot petitions, which I don't know what the number is, but there's a legal number that they would have to bring in.
Mayor?
Mayor, sorry.
I have a question of our town clerk before we vote.
Okay.
Assuming that this will eventually, appropriate amount of signatures and everything will come in with a referendum or whatever, and this goes to the vote, what would the election cost our citizens?
That's a difficult question to answer. let me put it this way. If we have to go with a polling place election in May of 2017, my best estimate at this point, based on this year's fees from the county, is about $90,000. If we can do it by all-mail ballot, we could probably reduce that by at least another $35,000. And again, keep in mind this is an estimate. I don't know what the fees to the county will be next year. Plus, we will have to do another publicity pamphlet. That's not inexpensive either. Anytime you put a question like this before the voters, it has to be explained clearly.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments, motions, Steve?
Mayor, I'll make a motion. A motion not to direct the town clerk to schedule the May 2017 election reassessment of an ad valorem tax as recently requested by petition by voice and electronic vote.
Okay, second, anyone?
Mr. Mayor, I'll second the motion.
We have the motion and a second. Would you call the vote, Diane?
Councilmember Whiting?
Yes.
Councilmember Nye?
Yes.
Councilmember Mallory?
Yes.
Councilmember Anderson, or Vice Mayor Anderson, excuse me?
Yes.
Mayor Skoog?
Yes.
Okay, Mayor, that's you. Oh, did I miss?
Marshall, I think.
Steve Marshall.
Councilmember Grossman?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Marshall? Okay, I have a question for you two gentlemen in a minute. Thank you. That's unanimous.
You had a question, you said, Diane?
I do. This has nothing to do with what we're talking about right here, but I believe that one of you gentlemen has a iPad that belongs to Councilmember Grossman because he keeps voting and he doesn't have one.
Yes, I do.
You do?
Yeah, right here. I'm screwing you up. Good.
Yes. That's one, council member. Thank you.
That motion passes, I take it?
Yeah, they're always playing tricks on me.
Okay. That motion, that proposal went down. Okay, move on to J. Consideration of approving resolution number 1968, approving a Government of Highway Safety contract 2016-405D-016. And that, Chief, you got comments there?
Yes, Mayor. Thank you. For your consideration this evening is the acceptance of $30,000 in grant funds from the Arizona Governor's Office of Highway Safety. There are no fiscal impacts to the town based on that acceptance. Several months ago, one of our officers was going to catch a red light runner to issue a citation, and in the process of doing so was T-boned at the intersection of Navajo and 69, totaling the unmarked traffic car that he was driving at that point. He was injured. Obviously, our primary concern was him, but he's doing fine. He got back to work after about 6 weeks, I believe. The vehicle, unfortunately, as I said, was a total loss. So we're going to take the funds that we got from insurance for that vehicle and combine them with some funds that we got by selling off of police motorcycles over the course of the last 6 months. And we are going to take that $30,000 from GOHS in addition to those funds, and we're going to build a new car for our traffic unit. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to entertain them.
I think you should compliment your staff. We had two earlier grant proposals that are going through, so.
Yes.
I don't know what the total amount is. I think it's around $50,000 or $60,000 combined, and that's just super. Almost every meeting we get some.
Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Any, Laura?
Ready for a motion?
I think we are ready. Yes. Unless somebody has a question.
Yeah. Motion to authorize the mayor, or in his absence, the vice mayor, to sign resolution number 1968, accepting the GOHS contract 2016 405D-016 by
Combination
vote
vote.
method.
I'll second.
Okay, with a motion and a second, would you call the vote, Diane?
Mayor Skoog,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Anderson,
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman votes yes. Councilmember Mallory votes yes. Councilmember Marshall voted yes. Councilmember Nye, how do you wish to vote?
Yes.
Councilmember Whiting?
Yes.
That's unanimous, Mayor.
Chief, get that grant
Thank you, Mayor.
and go for it. Okay, we move on to number K, another one for the police. Consideration of approving TASER asset management contract with and TASER purchase. Chief?
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to start off by throwing a couple quick shouts out to legal and finance. Steve Drake, somewhere here. Steve, thank you for all your hard work on this contract. Steve really drove our efforts in negotiations with a couple of different companies here and really brought some Herculean skills to bear on them. So thank you, Steve. Also, Bill Copey, he already got a hand, so I won't go on as long, but thank you, Bill, for some advice that you provided as well. For your consideration, Council's authorization of a purchase over $16,000, specifically a contract that commits us to payments in the amount of just over $30,000 per year for the next 5 years. And what that's going to accomplish is the purchase of 72 tasers with an additional 2 that they'll provide free of charge. After the course of those 5 years and those payments, we will be eligible to get what they call a refresh, and that means that we will be eligible at that point for another 74 new tasers so that we can remain on the cutting edge as far as the technology that comes from TASER. They do provide updates fairly frequently. We first started buying tasers in about 2005. And at that point, the technology was essentially a direct electronic charge or electrical charge provided to the individual whom we were trying to arrest at that point, with 2 darts that are propelled from the taser into the target. Since then, a significant technological advancement called the shaped pulse technology has come into play. And what that allows is for the taser to actually sense the effectiveness of the electrical connection of those 2 probes and adjust the amount of charge coming from the taser to those probes to better affect complete muscular lockup and thereby allow us to take that individual in custody, again, hopefully using as little physical force as possible. There are several studies around the nation from police departments. One specifically done by the Houston Police Department showed a significant reduction in injuries to officers in use of force situations since they implemented the use of tasers. We have seen the same effect here in Prescott Valley. First payment is going to be due pretty quickly, and we're going to make that payment with $22,400 worth of budgeted funds. So those were already in our budget. And then thanks to the Prescott Valley Police Foundation, and Kay Giles is here representing tonight. Thank you for being here, Kay. They're going to make up the rest of it for us. Next year, it is our hope that the foundation will be able to make the entire payment on behalf of the Prescott Valley Police Department and Town of Prescott Valley through funds that they currently have in their account, as well as funds that they hope to raise over the course of the next year. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Marty?
I don't have a question, I have a comment. Just to continue what James has said regarding the Prescott Valley Police Foundation, as a board member, I know firsthand how hard and diligent Deputy Chief Edelstein has been on this project with the tasers, and how much work has been put in by other people, you know, Steve and Bill and the Police Foundation. This was a long time coming, but it's worth it. You know, the technology and how quick it's changing moved the budget on this a lot, and also the getting the right taser rather than one that's, you know, already out of date. They've been very forward and current on this, so I applaud your efforts and what you've been able to do to get this contract. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good. Other comments, questions?
Mayor, I just...
Mike? I'm sorry, Mary?
Oh, I was just going to say that, you know, I appreciate you, appreciate what you do, the department, and the Police Foundation. They're amazing, and I thank you very much.
I think the number is somewhere in the neighborhood of $200,000 in contributions since their origination. which was in 2008. So thank you.
Mike?
Yeah, I just want to make a comment as well. I think I'm proud as a council member representing the town of Prescott Valley that I think in 2 incidents now that involve the police department, we were able to apprehend the people involved with little effort relative to violence. It was done in a way that we kept everybody safe and not injured. And this, I think, is a safety issue as well for our officers, and that is that some aren't producing, or they are old and are not producing what they were, I guess, outlined to do originally when they were purchased. So this is, I think, a big need that we have to address, and do appreciate also the Police Foundation for their support to get this done for us and protect our officers and protect our community.
Thank you.
Any other comments, questions?
How about a motion?
Yeah, Mayor.
Motion to approve the TASER asset management contract and TASER purchase.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Diane, would you do the roll call, voice, a vote call?
Vice Mayor Anderson,
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman,
Yes.
Councilmember Nye,
Yes.
Councilmember Mallory voted yes, Councilmember Marshall voted yes, Councilmember Whiting,
Yes.
and Mayor Skoog.
Yes.
That's unanimous, Mayor.
Hey, that's great.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Council.
Okay, we move on to L, consideration of approving the amendment to the agreement with CH2M Hill-OMI for operations, maintenance, and management services. Neil?
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Juan. He's here in the audience.
They were rotten tomatoes, right?
So tonight you have before you an amendment with CH2M Hill, and you may be aware that we have been working with them, partnering with them since about 1993, which probably makes this the 24th year that we've signed a contract with them. And so we've worked very successfully with them. This year, you're seeing that we're proposing a base fee amount for the contract of $3,631,405, which is a 4% increase over last year's amount. And so I think with that, well, actually, let me back up a second. We actually do have a number of people from CH2M Hill in the audience tonight. I almost forgot. Yeah. Gary Young, he is the regional manager for CH2M Hill, is here tonight. Chris Maines, the project manager, is here.
So we recognize you.
Of course, you know Juan Mancha and some of the other guys are here as well. So if they want to come up and
gentlemen,
say
come on up.
something.
They've done a great job for us. Mayor, you got a comment?
Yeah. Mayor, I just want to say that when I was elected to be on the council, of course, we were in a kind of a financial time at that time and struggling with lots of things. And this particular group were amazing with the contracts because they were right there, always holding down, and our fees weren't going up, and we realized it was rough times for everybody. And we have an amazing relationship, and they are a great company, and we thank you for that.
Is that all you got here tonight? And I see Mark comes up here too. Introduce your crew, would you?
Yeah, hi. Chris Maines, the new project manager in town, and it's a pleasure to be here. I've worked a lot of places over the last 4 years, and I've come to settle down here. What a great community and leadership you have here. A lot of transparency between Neil and Mark and Juan and I and the rest of the team, and I think we work pretty successful together. So,
good.
Thank you.
Next.
Thank you. I'm Gary Young, with the Regional Vice President for O&M on the Western Region. And as you can see, I didn't get the memo about a tie, but I know it was important that we had Juan show up with a tie. So on behalf of CH, and as Neil indicated, this has been a great partnership. We've been through some of the hard times through the recession. We've partnered, collaborated on providing the services. The comments from the citizens regarding our services greatly appreciated. We're always here to serve the town of Prescott Valley, and like I said, it's one of the partnerships that I brag about to my competitors and also to the other partners within CH, that this is what we try to strive for, an extension of the public works.
Good. Juan? Juan's been with us, I think, from the very beginning, right?
Yes. I've been here since you purchased it from Shamrock. I'd like to say thank you for another year, so looking forward to it, and hope to keep serving you for many more. Thank you.
Oh, it's been a good one. Mark, you got any comment?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Well, my job's successful because of all these guys. Juan, earlier today we had a luncheon with CH down at the Long Mesa office, and we were able to sit down and recognize all of the staff for all the hard work they've done. Lots of projects. I think Neil's going to be coming before talking about this in, I think on July 7th. So we're going to be showcasing a number of the accomplishments that they've had. I won't go through all those, but I will thank the staff again. Juan, we've got Shane Schatzer in the back corner.
They were too bashful to come up.
Well, yeah, I'm sure we could get them up here if we needed to. Jim Kendall, Ron Stillwell, and Big Zach. He's the youngest guy on the crew. He's one of our newer employees. He came here to support the group. But I just have to thank them for making Neil and my job easier. We go through a lot of trials. We go through a lot of good and bad. But, you know, in the end, it's totally transparent. And these guys support us well. And we should be thankful we have them. And I just would like to turn it over to these guys and let them say their piece. Thank you, sir. You got it.
Council members, town manager, mayor, thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity. Willing to look for plenty more years and continue the hard work for you folks. And thank you.
Good, thank you.
Just like to say that it's been a great honor to work in the community, the public of you folks. It's an absolutely astounding area to be in. Love it here. Been here for about 15 to 16 years and plan to go nowhere else. Thank you.
Mayor, Council, I just want to say the teamwork and the partnership at CH.
Hey, you should give your name.
Oh, sorry. Ron Stillwell, the Operations Supervisor. The teamwork and partnership that CH has with the town, Mark and Neil especially, is just outstanding. It's fabulous. I'm really proud to call Prescott Valley my home. So, thank you.
Mayor.
Yeah, Laura?
First of all, I want to thank Mary for bringing up the fact she brought up. I intended to do that, and because it's important that we remember it and thank you. But what I want to say to you is how much I respect the level of your professionalism and your interaction. Sometimes you don't want to have it with citizens, but you do have it. And I commend each and every one of you. Business partnerships can smell. This one does not. Thank you very much.
Really, huh?
Vice Mayor? Any other comments? Yeah, Mike?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I appreciate the partnership we have, and I know it's been a long-standing partnership, and obviously the water is a limited quantity that we have to deal with. So I think the investment we're making in creating this collaboration has a lot of value, and I think I know I appreciate it. I know our community appreciates it, and I do hear a lot, and I've seen it in person, the response of staff to issues that we have relative to water. So we really appreciate your professionalism and willingness to work with us, and we look forward to this partnership way into the future.
Any other comments, questions? Gentlemen, we do appreciate the service, and I think you're helping us to save money. You're not costing us money. We appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Good job.
Anyone care to make a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Marty?
I'll make a motion to approve the amendment to the agreement with CH2M Hill OMI for operations, maintenance, and management services for fiscal year 16-17 by electronic and voice vote.
Second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Would you count the vote, Diane?
Councilmember Grossman?
Yes.
Councilmember Mallory,
Yes.
Councilmember Marshall,
Yes.
Councilmember Nye,
Gratefully, yes.
Councilmember Whiting,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Anderson,
Yes.
and Mayor Skoog.
Yes,
That's unanimous, Mayor.
thank you. We'll go on to the consideration and discussion of general unscheduled comments from the public. Anyone wishing to address the council need not request permission in advance. Any such remarks shall be addressed to the council as a whole and not to any member thereof. Such remarks shall be limited to 5 minutes unless additional time is granted by the mayor. Anyone care to make some comments? Where's Kate? She was going to... Karen, come on up.
My name is Karen Hunt. I live in Prescott Valley, and my comment is on number GI, consideration of scheduling the property tax to fund the transit system. Every time people get their property tax from the county and see how it has increased, I mean, I hear complaints. Now, if you vote to have this to be put on the ballot and have town of Prescott Valley to have a property tax increase, that's going to scare people away from wanting to live here in Prescott Valley, because that's going to be double property taxing. And like I do agree with Marty Grossman, it could be $30, $300. And a lot of people who are widows and renters, and if the renters say, oh, it's not going to affect me, yes, it will, because that's going to increase in their rent. And how about business owners? That's going to affect them as well on their property tax. So I am totally against it. I think there should be another way of finding funding for the transportation. And then I hear complaints about, gee, these roads are really bad here in Prescott Valley. And I have clients saying, I have to go, with the transit system, they hit every single bump. And if it's going to cost between $35,000 to $90,000 to put it on the ballot, why don't you take that money and fix the darn roads?
Thank you, Karen. Tom?
Tom Steele, 4481 Sheridan, Prescott Valley. I'd like to compliment the town for really good services, and I occasionally comment on the Daily Courier about what Prescott is going through, but they refuse to see some of the elephants that are hiding under the tent that they're paying for. I think some of the biggest assets the town has is Bill Copey, Business Services Manager. The issue of keeping CH2ML or whatever their name is, to keep our rates down. I don't know. Have they been competitively bid out in the last few years? Okay. And I'm surprised at the minimum amount that was mentioned for the cost of this special election, because I remember making a real frantic phone call to Diane about the cost of something like $268,000 for the election this year, for the general election, and I guess that included the primary and the general. But there's a pass along from the county, obviously, that greatly increased the cost of that. Mass transit. I moved here 13 years ago from Orange County, California, which has a population virtually as high as the state of Arizona. And even with that, and the activity of multiple colleges and so forth, 50% of the cost of the Orange County Transit Authority was paid for by the taxpayers. 50% of over 6 million population. My first job out of college, I worked with a man who was a councilman for Dearborn Heights, Michigan. They had a population of something around 140,000. And the federal government was wanting them to start a transit authority. And they looked into it and saw after the initial funding, a lot of it went away. But the camel's nose was under the tent. The organization was started, and it would have grown and grown and grown. And they refused it. This is back in the early 70s. So we have to be careful of starting anything that's going to require continuous funding because it's hard to make it go away. And this is a start. You're rejecting this special election because the last presentation we had, which was again funded by our federal tax dollars. Now, mind you, no government has any money until it takes it away from people. No state, local, federal has no money. And what government, and I guess I have to say we've got some government employees over here, they can spend full time figuring out how to separate us from our taxes because what we call taxes, government calls revenue. So I urge you all to remind who you work for, and that's the taxpayers of Prescott Valley. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Any other comments? Any Kirk, no comments tonight? If there is no further comments, then we're going to go to item number 12, which I know everyone hates. Anyone care to make a motion?
I'll
to
make a
adjourn?
motion, Mayor.
Okay. And second, anyone?
I'll second, Mr. Mayor.
We have a motion and a second. Would you count the votes, Diane?
Councilmember Whiting?
Yes.
Councilmember Nye?
Yes.
Councilmember Marshall?
Yes.
Councilmember Mallory?
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Anderson?
Yes.
Mayor Skoog?
Yes. Well,
That's
meeting is
unanimous.
adjourned. Thank you all for coming.